All right, we are back here on the Marvel portion of the Halloween Pop Culture Party podcast as we are talking about the Marvel Halloween special, Werewolf by Night, about an hour on Disney Plus. Join me today to help me break it down, the pop culture correspondent of this podcast, Sam Derosa is here. Sam, how are you?
I'm so excited to be back. Thanks for having me.
Our follows an annual tradition on the holiday special. We got all of our pop culture team is here. I mean, we talked to John Stank already about the Peripheral. We talked to Alan Austin about the Midnight Club. Now we're gonna get a little Marvel action.
I mean, I'm just honored to be mentioned with Stanko and everybody. Like literally, Alan and Stanko are the best. So I'm just happy to be here, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, as long as Mike Flanagan is making Halloween show like holiday spooky season shows, this thing is gonna be an annual tradition here. So we know we'll be back in next season because the House of the Usher is coming from Mike Flanagan next year.
Oh, it's very exciting.
Yeah, it is very exciting here. I'm very excited about this Marvel special, Werewolf by Night, 1 hour, about some brand new characters here, about a little bit of like a classical horror story here, like a little bit like not as much jump scary as some of the stuff we've seen. What do you think about this thing?
I was very hesitant in watching this until you're like, hey, like let's check this out. I'm like, all right, Mike. And I'm very happy you suggested it because I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. And if you have not seen it already, I'm going to recommend that you stop what you're doing, go watch it, come back. Because, I mean, it's not really a big plot sort of thing in terms of Marvel because it doesn't really tie to anything else. But like in general, here, give you the basically the brief summary version of this basically is like the character follows the death of Ulysses Bloodstone. You get five bounty hunters, monster hunters, including this guy named Jack Russell, are summoned by Ulysses' widow to compete for a hunt to find the lead, become the new leader who gets the Bloodstone, which is the big gem that he used in this thing. Ulysses' estranged daughter shows up. She teams up with Jack, and then we find out that Jack is a werewolf, and he tries to claim the stone. He gets basically repelled by it. They try to kill him. Elsa ends up saving him, and he spares her life at the end. Man Thing is in this thing, but goes on the name of Ted, and that's basically it. It was a lot of fun though, good vibes.
Yeah, my thing that I really enjoyed about this was like if you don't like classic film, super random for like literally any listener. In the right hand corner, there is a circle, a very bright white circle, and if you pay attention throughout the episode, they like flash it very fast. It goes like right, if you're watching our Zoom version, I guess, or our YouTube version, it's right in the right hand corner where my hand is. When they flip the scene, it's like so the person who is doing the film of the movie theater will change the film canister. And I liked that a lot. And I know I'm being very specific right now, but I thought that was like a very nice little like editing touch for the whole thing.
Yeah, stuff like that I like. Between that, the choice to do it in black and white for most of this
Yes.
stuff, with the exception, I think the one exception most is that the Bloodstone is red. You can see that, and then everything else is black and white. But really added to the atmosphere of it. And I love that the job that Michael Giacchino did. I don't know if you know he's the director. Like, do you know if you know some of his work?
I am not very familiar with names. I'm a faces kind of gal.
Yeah. So anyway, Michael Giacchino is actually a famous composer, like for TV and stuff. He's the guy who does the themes for Lost. Is primarily he's done that. He's worked with Dylan off on Watchmen. I think he did the score for that. So he's his first real stab in the director's chair. I thought he did a good job here.
Oh wow, yeah, no, that's great. I'm a fan of his previous work for composing and everything. So I thought it was a very nice like homage to the monster movie.
Yeah. Yeah, did you enjoy the fact that you got black and white in this, the entire thing? Is like this is not something you usually see nowadays.
Exactly. And it just felt like it was kind of like paying tribute to our, past monster movies from like, the olden times, I guess is the best way to phrase it.
Yeah. You have had that a lot of feel like with the, interactions in the dark. You see the textures they emphasize very well here. I did like the performance of Gael Garcia Bernal, who plays Jack Russell, aka the werewolf. I did think his performance was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he was giving a lot of Taika vibes. I don't know if you got that as well.
A little bit. I had fun with Ted. Ted was great.
Yeah, Ted was amazing. He was, I mean, when they first, I'm not gonna lie to you, when they were first like, just call him Ted, like he's an old friend. And I'm like, this kind of like pulled me away. Like this was probably like the part where I was like, Marvel, I get it, but also like this is kind of like a lame joke or whatever. But I'm not gonna lie to you, Ted really did it for me. He was amazing.
Yeah, the character Ted is actually Man Thing. He's like a famous comic book character, probably the most famous in this whole thing. So I thought it was
Mhm.
fun way for them to sneak him in here. That he's the monster they're hunting, and he has the bloodstone attached to him.
Yes. The whole Bloodstone, you know, idea is very interesting to me. I haven't read this because it's based on the comic, correct?
Yeah, it's all these are all comic characters that are in here.
Yes. So I haven't read these. So this is a very new, like uncharted category for me.
Yeah, I did enjoy because, like, again, like I'm not as deep in the comics as some other people who I talk to here, and like for me, it's just like, oh, it's a brand new experience, and I like
Yes.
I like had this work to do. Obviously, I know none of these characters. I haven't like there's no like no Ant-Man showing up or anything like that. No random like fifth character from She-Hulk is in this thing. But like I watched this, I was like, you know, they did a good job establishing these characters and sort of like setting up who we need to care about, who was the good guys, who the bad guys. They did a good job just in about 50 minutes, sort of setting up a nice story for you beginning to end.
Exactly. But the other like bounty hunters, hunters, they seemed like familiar though. Like so like some of them felt like it could have been from different worlds in the Marvel universe that we've seen already. I don't know if you've got that, but I felt like they all the characters seemed familiar.
Yeah, they definitely feel like you would see them pop up in something else and more like, oh, I can see why they're here. And then of course, spoiler alert, they all pretty much die except for Jack, Jack and Elsa, who is well, Ulysses' daughter. I thought that this was definitely a lot of fun, and I did get the Marvel sense of it. Like I felt like you did get a lot of the like Marvel humor. I thought at points, especially Tag was a big deal with the humor. And I did like also had some good one-liners in there.
Yes. And at some points, like I'm sure they went for a specific feeling, a specific like whatever, but it got a little too marvelly. If I know that's a word that I've made up, but I feel like it got a little too lighthearted in some points. Like if they're trying to make this a monster movie, it kind of like lost its path a little bit.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about that because, like, obviously, like this is Marvel's attempt at like this is our Halloween special. I know that they have one coming for the holidays of Guardians of the Galaxy, which I'm sure we'll probably talk about at some point down the road with this. So that's kind of
Yeah.
was in December, like November or December here. But I think like they had the vibe right. I do think when they tried to go too Marvel humor, it did take me out of it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean like I really was following them up until like some of those like asides where it felt like it was a Marvel movie and I'm like I get it, but you had the chance to like rebrand a little bit and you kind of lost it.
You did kind of lose it a little bit. I did overall enjoy it though, and like it's curious. I was the end of this thing, like Jack escapes the dimension that they are hiding in to do the hunts, and I did think like the vibe of the hunt where they had the maze set up, where everybody sort of wandered through the maze, try and find the monster. I thought that was pretty cool. Gave you good opportunities to like see people like ambush each other and like have that was like your best avenue for the jump scares was the maze in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Like the whole thing with like even going before where they were inside the house with those monsters, they were all like classic looking monsters like from the 60s, the 50s, the 40s. And I don't know, like the maze kind of like added to that. And I know it's very like specific of me, but I thought it was like a very cool, I don't know. I also just like when he was just talking to Ted and he was just like, hey, I can't keep saving you all the time. It was like it was very cute. I really enjoyed it. Like that part I like oddly enough enjoyed a lot.
I also enjoy the fact there was a lot of practical effects in this thing. Like when we first see like the mannequin version of Ulysses Bloodstone, and he's after he's dead, and they're cranking the thing to make him talk. Like that was creepy as hell.
It was so creepy with the freaking like stitches on his head where they like, had to do surgery on it for
Yep.
him to move and like
Yep.
add in a voice box. Like that was that was crazy. But I weirdly enough enjoyed it in the same breath.
Like I did like also that this was not a big CGI fest where it was like everything is CGI. Like especially when like we have Jack transforming into the werewolf that we don't like. see this awful CGI of him turning the werewolf. We just sort of like see from Elsa's perspective, and we flip back. He's the
Yes.
werewolf. I like that.
Yes, they had a lot of very good usage of like imagery, we using lights and like shadows throughout the entire special. It was very, that was probably my favorite part of the entire special, was the use of like old school kind of like transitions and use of light and use of dark. That was a big part for me.
It plays very well with the black and white, so it's like make us pop even more.
Yeah, and it speaks to why they kept with the black and white.
Yeah, I did do some research on this. So it was Michael Giacchino. Basically, he said that like his inspiration is basically like a Marvel version of the Twilight Zone, with basically his take on this special. So I could definitely see that.
Oh, 100%. Now that you mention it, it feels just like a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, because the way you say is like, I wanted to just drop you in. This sort of like a day in the life of these two. You see like a little bit what's going on. Don't need to give you the full backstory. You can figure it out on your own. I appreciate that.
I did too. That's amazing. I think that Marvel taking this kind of route is much better than kind of what they've been doing as of late.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, and the question I also have here, like, and this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe where everything is connected and all fits together. Do you think we see anybody from this again? Do you think this is just okay? We're here and we're see what's going on, then we leave.
I did like the characters, like in this, what was it, 40 or 54 minutes, 53 minutes, right? Of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I did end up really liking some of the characters, which I think it says a lot for the writing and the directing, like everything.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see them again, though, truly. Like, I really feel like this is like a one and done. Marvel has so many comics, they have so many storylines, so many characters, that they can keep doing things like this.
Yeah, I would be not be surprised if Man Thing, aka Ted, shows up again. I feel like that character could be pop up in something where, like, I mean, we're in a show where She-Hulk brought Abomination back into our lives, so I would not be surprised if we see Ted, aka Man Thing, in something in the future.
I would, if anything, I would be okay with seeing Ted again, but basically just Ted. Like, because it's like Ted and Jack, like their paths cross, like they cross one way and then after years their paths cross again. So I feel like it's going to be like an interchangeable thing where we might not see Jack even for like a decade, let's just say, and then we just see him briefly in another Marvel show, just again briefly. But I don't know, I feel like they could do it. I kind of hope they don't. But then again, I do love Ted, I'm not gonna lie, weirdly enough.
I mean, there's so much stuff going on with like this whole, like, they're doing multiverses thing. I could see them like, even it's like that What If show made like Ted's Jackson episode of that. I could see something like that happening.
Yeah, like something small. Like, I guess that's true. I'm kind of like being a hypocrite right now. Like, they could show up very briefly, but I don't think they're going to be a main part of the Marvel storyline.
I mean, Daredevil to show up in She-Hulk, so anything could happen there.
That's very true. I did really enjoy She-Hulk.
I mean, Daredevil taking the walk of shame in She-Hulk was hysterical.
Yes, that was very funny.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's gonna be a lot of fun here. And let's have some fun here. Give me, who is the best character in this thing? Who is the MVP of Werewolf by Night?
Okay, we've been talking about him all evening. Ted.
Yeah.
He just came out of nowhere with his little eyes of anger, and then okay, and then he became the real MVP when he saved Elsa, and then the whole sushi thing. You didn't understand a word he said, but he was hilarious.
Yeah, he still saved their bacon too, so Ted should get a lot of credit.
Honestly, there's no debate on how Ted isn't the MVP.
Yeah, I'll give it to Elsa here, because like she has like a lot to prove when she showed up, because basically she's the estranged daughter, and then she tells the other hunters like, why are you here? Like, you're not a hunter, you don't belong here. And she ends up walking away, basically, like, right, Casey kicking all their asses and ensuring that the bloodstone is in. I think she has control at the end of the movie. So good job for her.
Yeah, going back to what we just discussed, I'm not going to be surprised if we see her again, though. Like, really thinking about it now, I feel like something is like getting that little brain of mine all fuzzy, and I'm like, I wonder if we're going to see her again. So I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, like, she's in the play. She's like, if the way I describe sort of like with Star Wars too is a little bit like she's in the toy box now. You can like play with like that character again. So if you want to.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Who was the worst character in this thing? Who's the LD?
I cannot pronounce her stupid name, but the stupid stepmom. She was so annoying. I literally hated everything that she stood for. Every time she was on the screen bothered me, even when I didn't know who she was, like the Viscera or whatever her name was.
Verusa.
Yes. Oh my god. Like literally, I'm not gonna lie to you. I did not bother to learn her name. That's how much I hated her.
Yeah. I'm gonna give, yeah, I agree with that. I was gonna honorable mention the other bounty hunters who really added nothing to the story other than just being cannon fodder.
Yeah, also not so one of the bounty hunters looked like he came from what the heck is that place from the Black Panther? I just literally had it.
Wakanda.
He looked like he came from Wakanda. Like all of them looked like they came from somewhere in the universe. But that like the woman alien looking thing where she got the sword in her head.
Yeah.
He was also an LVP for me. I was just like, what? I feel like you just barely even made a dent in this. Like at least the Scottish guy who reminded me of somebody from Guardians of the Galaxy, like for some reason, like at least he was just like annoying and whatever, but like I didn't even know who she was.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna suck. I thought you were talking about Jovan there when you started going. I was like, oh, like that guy. I thought he was a mascot the way he was talking.
Yeah, no, it's the stupid that woman alien looking thing. I was like, why are you here?
Yeah, certainly a fair question here. And give me a grade on this thing. How do you think this stands up? Like, you think like?
I mean, honestly, I went in it with low expectations, so I'm going with like a B minus. Like nothing crazy, kind of like in the middle, but like a little better because there was like some certain things that I appreciated for like a moviegoer. But other than that, nothing higher than a B minus.
I'd say I agree with you about that spot. I feel like this is one thing where it's fine. Like it's better than you expect it's gonna be. But I feel like if you were like, unless you're like a Marvel completionist, I don't think you need to seek this out, like actively seek it out for like your spooky season viewing.
Yeah, like to be completely honest with you, if you didn't mention that to me, I probably would have never watched it.
Yeah, there's so much going on right now. I mean, spooky season has a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot. I mean, like
exactly.
what are some things you're like want to check out for spooky season?
I know this is lame for all your listeners, and we're filming this on the 12th, and I'm a little late. I have not seen Hocus Pocus 2, which yes, I've heard the crappy reviews, but I still want to see it. Like, I have to make my rounds of my spooky season stuff too, so I have to watch the original Hocus Pocus, which I haven't seen this year. I have to watch Nightmare Before Christmas. I understand that goes into 2 different holidays, but like, all those things. And I want to watch the Midnight whatchamacallit with that we were talking about earlier.
Oh, the Midnight Club. And Alan and I talked about earlier in the podcast.
Yes, that's on my list as well. You like really sold me on that one.
Yeah, that's really good. I have another I don't know if you were a big fan of The Shining back in the day. Did you ever watch Doctor Sleep?
Yes, that was okay. Again, that's another movie I came in with low expectations and I was actually pretty blown away. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's another Mike Flanagan special here. And I was like so pumped to see like Ewan McGregor in that show and that movie is the adult Danny Torrance. So like that was fun to see that and go back to the hotel.
Yeah, and like they did a lot of really great homages to The Shining that I was not expecting.
Yeah, I mean it is a basically direct sequel to The Shining. So
yes, and going back, I know we talked about this before. The Haunting of Hill House, I do enjoy watching around the Halloween time. I know that's only been in our lives for a couple of years now, but I really enjoyed that, mini series.
basically, whatever Mike Flanagan puts out in October, that's what you should be checking out, in my opinion.
To be honest, what Midnight Mass was another one he did.
That was last year's Midnight Mass.
Yes, yeah, that was so good.
It was a
we
stealth
need more Mike Flanagan talk, I think.
Yep. Yeah, stealth vampire show, basically. Midnight Mass.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. I remember you put me on that one as well, so I definitely have to watch Midnight Club.
Yeah, Midnight Club. I'm excited for you to check that out because that was a lot of fun to watch that every year. I do think that was good. And I don't know if you're aware, but Unsolved Mysteries coming back on Netflix. They have new episodes coming.
Oh my god, yes. I literally think of Unsolved Mysteries and I think of you.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to divulge into the new again, I know we talk about this every single time, but I always feel like they're going to solve the mystery, but the freaking title is Unsolved Mysteries. And it hurts, but again, I always feel like they're like going to have a break in the case and it's still unsolved.
It is unsolved, and what's not unsolved is Sam's time on the podcast. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, be on social media, keep up some of the stuff you're doing.
You follow me on TikTok, on Twitter, on whatever, but it's SDEROS6 on Twitter, SDEROSA 175 on TikTok, whatever. Just Google Sam Derosa, you'll find me.